And we are live. Welcome, everybody, to another edition of Deconversion Stories. And today I'm talking with my friend Ian Harrison, who is also known as Pinesnake. He seems to always be everywhere in everyone's videos all the time in the chat. So don't be surprised if he's not only being interviewed by me, but he shows up in like a non-sec video or something at the same time. He's omnipresent, unlike the alleged deities.
There is evidence for me, I promise.
Sure there is. I'm talking to you right now. You guys can hear him, right? I'm not hallucinating or nothing? Okay, good. All right, man. So you know what I like to do here. We talk about how we found our way free from fallacious belief systems and into a more rational kind of critical thinking. So what is your story? Like, take us back to the beginning and kind of what led you out of it and into the somewhat of an atheist activist that you have become.
Well, to be honest with you, I was never religious or anything like that. However, that being said, I fell under the answers in Genesis kind of pseudoscience of, like the example I normally give is the homosexuality is a social construct and it's a learned trait rather than you just born being attracted to whoever you're attracted to. And the pseudoscience around that is what I believe from about 12 years old up until about 18. And then someone just turned around and says, you realise that's a Christian apologetics thing that you believe in, and it's not actually science. So, yeah, my critical thinking skills were at an all-time low at that age.
I think a lot of us can say that too, man. I believed in lots of ridiculous things as a youth. So,
yeah, to be honest with you, some of it I didn't realise I was still getting wrong right up till my late 20s. I didn't realise for some reason attacking the person wasn't the same as attacking the ideas. So I really was a prick, grade A prick. So yeah, I mean, since then I've just been trying to make life that little bit better for people that either can't fight for themselves or it's an uphill struggle for them to even get recognised as individuals.
like, what do you mean? You mean like homosexuals weren't being recognized as individuals?
Well, homosexuals, trans community, even down to intactivism. Actually, young boys and young girls having a voice saying, no, I don't want to have a surgical procedure done to me. That's not necessary.
Right.
I've taken a step back from that because I realised there's a lot I don't know about after watching American Circumcision.
That's a thing?
Yeah, it was a documentary on Netflix.
Oh, wow, I had no idea.
Yeah, it came out.
No, I have not.
I think it was November or something like that. It came out.
Oh, it's definitely not showing up in my suggestions, anyways.
It's worth watching.
Maybe they thought, well, he's already circumcised, so we don't need to show him any of that shit. Because I was born, in the Jewish faith, and that's like an automatic thing. Like 10 days after you're born, they do it. So, you often hear a lot of psychologists saying, that it can lead to trauma and stuff like that in people. And I really, for myself, anyways, I don't remember the incident, and I don't really feel that I've had any trauma because of it. It's not that I condone circumcision. I'm kind of, you're born a certain way and that's who you are, and chopping something off just seems kind of superfluous, really, to me.
Yeah, I mean, once you're 18, personal decision, I'm fine with that.
Sure.
And I'm assuming in Canada, when circumcisions are done, it's under some form of anaesthetic.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. In America, for a lot of years, it wasn't. It was deemed as unnecessary because babies couldn't feel the pain. So there's actually a lot of men with PTSD from actually being aware of this procedure.
I didn't know. I mean, I'd heard that there was some.
Yeah.
Am I breaking up? Oh,
A
sorry.
little bit. Yeah, I didn't realise half of it until I actually watched this. But so yeah, but because there's so much I don't know, I don't want to give the voice to something and actually say something incorrect and actually damage at least part of the movement.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah,
I'm gonna have to look for this documentary too that you mentioned now.
yeah, I don't have a link for it, but I'll make sure I remind you after.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, and just going back to what I was saying before about when we've been brought up, my mother specifically, thought they were doing a good thing by trying to raise someone skeptical, letting someone make their own decisions, but it kind of backfired. I was sent to churches, I was sent to temples, mosques, and all the rest of it to get an idea of what everyone believed.
Mm-hmm.
But then I was just left to my own devices to try and figure out what was true, what wasn't, and didn't have the guidance. And what's still quite scary, there's still people out there that believe A, the same bullshit that I did, and
Mm-hmm.
B, that once you have this mindset, whether it be racism, sexism, transphobia, homophobia, that you can't be changed. You are just that, and there's no point in talking to you. There's no point in trying to change your mind. And I'm kind of living proof that that's not the case.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, you don't feel the same way as you used to at all, as far as I can tell.
Oh no, the thing is with the way I thought was, yes, I have these opinions, but who am I to tell anyone else what's right, wrong? And
Okay.
if something was a social construct or an illness of some description, why would you treat someone any different with that illness compared to if they'd had cancer or something like that? That's the way my mind was. You can't
Mm-hmm.
blame someone for being ill. So
No,
I
of
never
course not.
really treat anyone differently, but I still held these beliefs that were just flat out wrong.
So, what was it that changed your mind on those sort of things?
Someone pointing out the difference between a peer-reviewed paper and something that is basically an article in a magazine that is made
Mm-hmm.
to look like a peer-reviewed paper, and the difference between a proper doctor or scientist or whatever doing the peer reviewing and some Christian apologist.
Okay.
Once I was able to learn the difference between the two, it, it kind of all quickly started to fall into place. And then when it came to attacking an idea rather than a person, it was actually watching people like Matt Dillahunty, Christopher Hitchens, Sam Harris, and all the rest of them, where you could see the clear difference. Hitchens and what have you was attacking the idea, but the theist that they were debating against was actually attacking the person. And seeing that different dynamic, you could see which one had the best epistemology.
Sure, for sure. I've always been, yeah, you never attack the person so much as the belief system. I mean, the only time I think it's ever warranted to attack the person is if they're just out and out belligerent and just an asshole in general, even aside from the belief system. But of course, we still have to remember that it was probably that belief system that made them that way to begin with. So it's one of those things you just kind of have to weigh out for yourself on how you deal with things.
Yeah, I mean, there is a difference between holding a dangerous belief and enacting it.
Mm-hmm.
Probably Christianity is one of the better examples. When you look through the entire Bible, there's a lot of crappy things in there.
Oh, sure.
And then two consenting adults wanting to live by that moral code of ethics, if you can use that in loose terms, but then to bring their children up to believe this is what happens, this is what it should be, and all women should be subservient, and having like 14-year-old daughters being subservient to the 10-year-old brother because the brother's male. I think that's when you got to start actually calling out the people for how they are acting.
Mm-hmm. And raising their kids that way too, which is quite objectionable.
Yeah. It moves beyond the subjective and into the objective. You are doing harm. It's not a case of I think, you are.
Yeah, I'm sure we could all agree that objectively that is a form of harm for sure.
I just wish I knew, say, 20 years ago what I know now. It would have made it much easier. I went through the stage of doing the anti-theism and being the hard sell. No, you're just telling people your book's wrong and all the rest of it. And then I went through the street epistemology and thinking, no, that's the answer. And then finally realizing you can't just have one way to combat these ideas. You've got to have a huge arsenal of weapons in your toolbox to be able to talk sense into people, if you will.
Mm-hmm. And sometimes you can't, right? Sometimes just people just aren't going to hear you no matter what you do.
No, but if anyone else is watching, they're the ones that you're hitting.
Yeah, that's for sure. Yeah, for sure. If you're doing this as a form of communication outside of just a conversation you're having, then yeah, other people that might be watching in or listening in might have their views changed by some of the things that you're positing. So for sure.
Oh, definitely. I mean, if you're talking to someone like Ken Ham or Ken Hovinder or someone like that, they make a profession of making apologies for the Bible. They're never going to change their minds. That's their profession. However, if there's someone on the fence thinking, well, is evolution true? Is creationism true? Having the discussions and calling people out for the BS that they spout may be what that person needed to hear.
Yeah, I agree.
You could probably turn that to any walk of life, racism, sexism, anything. And I think it would work. Having young men realising that things like gaslighting isn't appropriate.
Mm.
I think that's probably something that we should all be working towards, because that's probably one of the biggest problems in the UK within relationships.
Oh, you think so, eh?
Well, I know I was guilty of it at a young age.
No, I think we've all been there.
Yeah. But all the fallacies I used to be guilty of using, I just wished critical thinking was amongst the things I had back then, rather than just being able to argue a lot.
Hmm. Don't mind me. I'm just interacting with the chat as well.
Yeah. I just saw David and a few other people had arrived, yeah.
Yeah. The usual suspects, hence the name of my group. Are you a member? You're a member in there, aren't you?
I don't know.
I think I added you. Oh. Well, my mistake. I'll have to add you there.
Oh,
One of the guys that used to be in the chat, Frank, one of my Australian friends that I interviewed some time back. Apparently, he somehow got dumped out of the group, which means that somebody in the group has blocked him for whatever reason. So it auto dumps somebody that's blocked by any other member, which is kind of shitty, but I guess it does happen. So he may have pissed someone off. Who knows? And it wouldn't surprise me. Frank's a little on the controversial side sometimes. So
controversial can be good.
Sure.
Yeah, everyone's got strong opinions about something.
Oh, sure. Frank's kind of a bit of a dirty old man, though.
Ooh.
like even more than me. So it may be that someone just didn't like the conduct he was presenting in there from time to time. It's not like he was like that all the time.
Mm.
But, often it kind of led to suggestive language, right? So, but usually it wasn't fun. But I guess someone just didn't take it that way.
I suppose the difference between whether you actually know the person or it's the first time meeting them as well.
Yeah, well, for sure.
Yeah. So now I'm 35 years old, and a couple of years ago I decided to actually get involved in, I suppose, promoting positive atheism and critical thinking.
Mm-hmm.
Joined my local humanist group on Facebook and met a few of them, and realised there were basically rampant racists.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yet they called themselves humanists?
Yes. What they actually meant to say was they were atheists. They weren't humanists. You could argue that they were secularists. But it was basically, oh, look, there's a Muslim, let's go get him. And it's like a few weeks, and yeah, I really realised what it was. And it's like, no. Tried to talk some sense into them. It didn't work, and I got kicked from the group, and I've been blocked, banned, and bad-mouthed all over the place, by all accounts.
Fuck, who cares if they're assholes like that, then?
To be honest with you, at that time, I did, because I had this impression at the time that groups of atheists didn't have the same kind of mentality of religious people did.
Mm-hmm.
And that they were all Richard Dawkins, they were all, relatively educated or critical thinking, really. Just to realise you've
Not always.
You've got assholes everywhere.
Sure.
So I was tentatively, just going around the YouTube channels, not interacting, because I didn't want to get involved in any other groups.
Mm-hmm.
And watching a show, I think it was Talk Heathen, and the point had been made, and I just had to comment. And it just took off from there, realising that there are decent human beings out there, secular humanists, both theist and atheist. And if you're Steve McRae, agnostic sometimes.
If you're Steve McRae. How does he always worm his way into these things?
Just because I want to call him an atheist just to get him going.
Yeah. Well, he's fun to poke and prod about that, that's for sure.
Oh, it's definitely fun, especially if you poke and prod him and then leave.
Yeah, then he comes after you, though. Yeah, it's funny. There was a David, actually, or as you guys know him in the chat, as Whirly DR Podcast, did a poll the other day on hair, who's got the better hair. And Steve was beating me until I whined about it, and then all of a sudden, I beat him by like 4 votes or some shit like that. So, but his hair is just as pretty. Oh, thanks. His hair is is pretty much almost as long as mine is. So that's pretty impressive. I had no idea it was actually that long, because he always has it up somehow, right? Or like hidden, I guess you might say. But
hidden over his shoulder.
Yeah, so I'm impressed by, actually, when I saw him post that picture of his natural locks. I guess he was somewhere getting his hair trimmed, and they had it all down there. He had her take a picture or something. So I was like, oh shit, it's longer than I thought it was. Wow. So yeah, but he gave me a run for my money for sure, even though he was leading in the beginning.
But you got better facial hair for definite.
I don't even think he really has much, does he? Just a regular goatee or something.
Yeah, just a Gandalf going on. That's it.
A Gandalf, yeah. That's a better way to put it. Yeah, I've been doing what I've been doing for many years now, and I just tried it one day. I thought, let's do something different, and I came up with this idea, and I went, yeah, I like that, and I just kept it. And it's been probably 20 years now since I've had this style. But before that, I was very in the same league as Steve, right? I had the goatee, not quite as Gandalfy as his, but it was down to about here at one point. But everyone and their monkey had it, so I was like, no, I need to do something different.
Yep. To be honest with you, I get a few little clumps on my chin, and then nothing else grows.
Just call it your soul patch. Isn't that what they call that shit? I think that's what this is right here, is the soul patch, apparently.
Yeah, mine's called pathetic.
Please wait till after I've taken a sip.
Why do you think I waited?
Yeah, so I've always said too about this whole intelligent design thing. Yeah, that was a good idea. Let's put our breathing apparatus and our feeding and drinking apparatus all in the same spot. No chance we'll choke to death at all. No. Good one, God. You joking priest. I swear it's actually Loki that's real. Sometimes.
Well, yeah, that's my son.
Yes, that's right. On a bit of a more serious note, and it's kind of off topic yet still within religious topic, you're probably aware of the whole Notre Dame fire that went on.
I am, yes.
It's pretty tragic, man. There's a lot of history, a lot of artwork, and architecture that has just been destroyed. Like, it's not the first time that thing has been damaged, because it was damaged during, I think it was World War II. But they rebuilt it, and they'll do it again. So there's a lot of people out there. But I had a bit of a to-do with some idiot stick on Twitter about that, and I said, look, I'm not advocating that it's a good thing that this happened. I think it's tragic, but I think you running around telling everyone to pray for Notre Dame is a waste of your fucking time. So
yeah, I'm with you on that. I mean, aside from the beauty of the building, there is actually a couple of people that have been injured in this.
Oh, really? Because I heard that nobody... Well, maybe I heard wrong, or it was too early.
Well, with the firemen and stuff like that, you know, the people that were there to actually put out the fire, somehow they've been injured. So I hope they get better soon. Yeah,
for sure. It's a tough one, though, because their ladders that they have, with the fire brigade down there, aren't tall enough and can't reach as high up as that steeple was. So the best they can do is go into the building and try and aim up from inside, and that's even dangerous in and of itself, because shit could fall on them on the inside. So it's a tough one to battle. Yeah, but I've been there. I've been to that place, and I think it's a beautiful building, and I can appreciate it for what it is. You know, religious connotations aside, it's still a magnificent piece of architecture. And I took multiple pictures. Of course, those pictures are now fucking disappeared in one of my many moves, but who knows? I'll find them one day. But yeah, it was an amazing building when I did my tour over there. It's definitely one of the places I had to go see. Because one of my favorite stories, I think, at the time was the Hunchback story. I always kind of had a thing for that one.
Well, yeah, I mean, look at the Parthenon and all them other glorious buildings.
Yeah, I've been there too.
All these glorious buildings, yes, they've got religious connotations, and the religions don't particularly have the best history, shall we say. But that's no reason to take out on the building.
No.
It just is. And
Yeah.
all over Europe especially, but there is some over in the States as well.
Oh, absolutely.
The only people with the money to really create these buildings were the royalty and the church.
Mm-hmm.
And even
Mm-hmm.
through the French Revolution, they didn't destroy the Bastille, they didn't destroy Notre Dame and other places like this. And so even people that were in full-scale revolt, murdering various people, still realised that these buildings were important. And
Absolutely.
they should be cherished for future generations. There were people saying when Buckingham Palace burned down that it shouldn't be remade. The history of that building alone is nearly 1,000 years.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a huge part of the British culture that would have been lost if people had got their way.
Yeah, true enough. I've seen a bunch of beautiful buildings when I was over in England. So even to more remote things like Stonehenge, which is cool as hell. And you know, as anti-wooey shit as I am, I got to admit that when I was there, it was a very um, neat feeling to be there, just to know what the history was behind all that stuff. Even though they never, at that time, they weren't quite on top of what they know about it now. But it was just, you're there and I got the chills because it was kind of one of my favorite monuments of all time was the Stonehenge.
Well, there's another henge not far away,
Mm-hmm.
which you can actually go to freely. Now Stonehenge is actually restricted.
Yeah.
And it's just, you go, you sit down, and it's so tranquil.
Mm-hmm.
You
Yeah,
just
for sure.
sit there and watch the world go by.
Mm-hmm. And it was all built by aliens. So just kidding.
Yeah, we did.
I just yeah, we did. Oh yeah, that's right. I was looking at your avatar there. That's right, folks. He's apparently a six-eyed alien, or I don't know. All I can see is five from here, but I'm sure you have one on the other side, so that's why I went with six.
Yeah, it's about right.
All right. Fuck this third eye bullshit. I got multi eyes, man. I'm like one of those big bugs with the huge eyes, or what do they call those?
Bugs.
Shit. What? No, 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 no. The kind of eye they have, compound or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, like those. Like I wish I could see like a fly, like 360 fucking degrees around you. You know what I found out watching one of those documentaries on those little bastards is they see us in slow motion. So when you go to swat a fly and they always seem to get away, it's because they're like, I see ya, because they already know you look like you're in slow motion. So you'll be going at them like this, and in reality, you're doing this, but they're like gone by the time you get to them.
Yeah,
Which I
when
thought
you
was
want
kind
to
of cool.
swat them, you need to bring your hands together in like a clap formation, so they can't concentrate on it properly.
That's right. And they also say the best way is to come from behind because when a fly launches, he launches backwards.
I
So
didn't know that.
there you go. Yeah. They launch backwards when they jump to fly. So if you come in from behind, you have a better chance of swatting them. Well, lots more people have joined us now. We got Spooky Bedhair who finally showed up. And Terry Davies, sorry. The other Aussie guy, the one that wasn't kicked out of the group. But apparently we have room now, Ian, so I'll add you to the Neil's Usual Suspects. And it's legit now because I usually don't add people till I've actually had them in conversation. So there's only been a couple of exceptions. So there you go. I'll add you to the group, but I warn you, you're going to want to mute it from time to time because those guys just go nuts in there sometimes. And I'll come back in, it's 450 messages later. It's like, holy fuck, you guys.
Yeah, well, I'm kind of at an advantage. Whilst I'm at work, all you motherfuckers are at sleep.
That's true too. That's true. And kind of almost the other way around. So pure bug eye. Yeah. I couldn't remember the name of it. Okay, sue me. I'm usually pretty quick on the fly here. But I couldn't remember the name. They called them compound eyes. That's what it was.
Yeah, well, if it were insects were cool, you wouldn't have got away with that crap.
No, I know. She'd have been all over me like a fly on shit. See, I remember.
Insert witty pun here.
Yeah, exactly. So, in your youth, when you were believing all these, I've been here from the start. Oh, well, then you weren't typing much, Spooky. So I guess I just didn't notice. And my apologies. You're always welcome here. So, and one of these days, even though you claim to not have much of a story, we'll get you in here. I'll get you talking. One of these days. I'm pretty convincing, especially when there's money involved. What's it going to cost me? but
3 beers and a bag of chips.
Yeah. I was more thinking the old Mike Myers, Dr. Evil, $100 billion kind of thing. Right?
Yeah.
But was there? Did you have to deal with any of your like friends and their families that were kind of religious? Did any of them try to persuade you to join their cult, kind of thing?
Well, my dad's family are Catholic, apparently.
Apparently.
Well, nearly all of them have been divorced, so they're not very good Catholics.
Yeah, no.
I think there's one that goes to church on a regular basis, and that's it. When my dad died, they were all convinced he was a true Catholic and that he had to have a Catholic funeral. It's like, why?
Really?
Yeah. He didn't go to church unless it was a christening, wedding, etc.
Sure.
He broke just about every commandment, almost, that there is. He was probably an atheist at best. He just didn't care about it. So when it came to it, there were a bit of a to-do between a couple of them, which said, no, he was baptised Catholic, therefore he is Catholic. I mean, I was baptised Methodist, so they're convinced that I'm a Methodist. But I swear, I drink, I take thy Lord's God's name in vain, and all the rest of it. I'm sure I've been excommunicated by now.
Oh, more than likely.
Yeah. I mean, I've even got a couple of cousins that are either bi or pansexual. But apparently they're all good Catholics. The hypocrisy is just ridiculous in half of it.
Yeah, no kidding.
So, yes, there is a religious element to it. But we were all generally shielded from it until someone wanted to make a God claim that, oh no, you should do this because insert Bible. On my mother's side, actually my grand is Protestant Irish. And she was anti-theist because of all
very good.
Because of all the sectarian violence based in and around religious beliefs. She just detested religion. If you were religious, then she'd just say, okay, fair enough, and carry on with conversation. Which kind of filtered down to my mother, who was the one that made sure we had a knowledge of religions, knew what people believed, and a basic idea of why.
Did she leave it so that like you could decide whatever you want, sort of thing? Like if you're interested in becoming a Protestant or a Catholic or a fucking Jew or whatever, she left that up to you, I guess, to decide whether or not you wanted to follow these sorts of things?
Essentially, yeah. I've never had the actual story portrayed to me as my dad's family wanted me to be christened Catholic, but my mother says no, that's just no. So they compromised on Methodist, how you get from Catholic to Methodist, I don't know. I mean,
Yeah,
did they
that's
start as
bizarre.
Satanist and work their way back? I don't know.
Work your way back up the ladder. And Brant is in the chat, and he didn't know you weren't American.
I would probably imagine that's because I'm a volunteer for the Atheist community of Austin, and most people assume because of that I'm American.
He fucking lives in Texas.
Yeah, I'd love to. I really would. I mean, they were complaining that there were lows of 15 degrees other month. It's like, are you kidding me?
What? A low of 15?
Yeah.
Fuck. Right now, I'm lucky if that's a high around here.
Yeah. I mean, the only way to surprise a British person is by showing them a full day of sunshine.
Hey, you know, when I was over there, there was a day of sunshine that I think that had one little cloud float by. But that was back in the 80s. So.
I'm going to say that was that one day in the 80s. Probably April 1st, 84.
I was there. Yeah, right. And Robert X, I saw your comment about if I ever join anywhere, it will be here. Thank you. If Neil would, I guess, have me and my voice is back, well, let me know when your voice is back and I'll have you on here for sure. No problem. I have nothing in the immediate space, just so you know. You're going to be waiting till June now because I'm pretty much booked up till the beginning of June. So, and that includes, I should probably throw out a reminder that Aaron Raw will be here in early May.
Clang.
So, yeah. And I'm now objectively, Dan said he put in some good words for me with Matt Dillahunty, so maybe I'll work on him next. That'd be kind of cool to have him on here, even though I'm pretty sure everybody knows his deconversion story.
Yeah, well, when you speak to Aaron, give him a couple of digs, because them two have just done a Q&A session. Okay. It was just a random Q&A session where they just sat down with a computer and answered questions.
Oh. Aaron and Matt?
Yeah. It's on Matt's channel.
Oh, on the Atheist Debate channel? Or?
Yeah.
Very cool.
I think that's what it was.
More than likely, because I think that's Matt's personal channel. You know, everything we see of him on the Atheist Experience channel belongs to the ACA, or it's their channel.
Yeah, I'm just... Atheist Edge, sorry. Impromptu audience Q&A with Aaron and Matt.
Very cool. I like when these guys do shit like that. They just kind of throw it out there and boom. All right, Robert. I'm trying to remember. What's your Twitter handle, by the way? Because I don't think it's Robert X. Or it could be. If it's just right now, it's not coming to me. So put that in the chat there, and I'll get to you, and we'll set something up. Anyway, I'm totally whoring shit out here on your interview, dude. Sorry about that.
Dude, I'm happy. Yeah, so that was basically the basis of my religious knowledge. One that I've actually enjoyed building on over the years. Finding out that Eve wasn't Adam's first wife was actually not
Lilith.
Revealed. Yeah, wasn't revealed to me until only a couple of years ago. And I've read the Bible so many times, and somehow that bit just didn't stick.
Well, apparently, according to the Old Testament, even God had a wife.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Well, God's referred to as a traditionally female name 3 times in the Old Testament.
Mm-hmm. Yep, that's right.
Which is an interesting fact when everyone always refers to God as he. But obviously, God's a she at some time as well.
Well, maybe he was just married to himself. Who knows? But there's a mention of the wife of God at some point. I just can't remember exactly where it is. And I'd have to go get a book to check it out. But
oh, that's Whoopi Goldberg.
What?
The Sister Act. All nuns are God's wives.
Oh, that's right. That's right. That's what the name was Whoopi. Did they even have a word like that back then? I don't know. I don't think so.
Look, from the start of civilized language or language of any kind, there's always been fart jokes.
Mm-hmm.
And so there's going to be an equivalent of whoopee.
I guess so. David had a question for you.
Mm-hmm.
What is your take on the... Oh, sorry, guys, beer. What's your take or the make of the protesters in Birmingham against schools teaching LGBT to 5-year-olds?
I don't see any problem with teaching LGBT to 5-year-olds.
I don't either, period. As long as it's done properly, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, teaching about sexuality in all its forms and the gender spectrum, I think a healthy thing. To go into heavy details on any form of social or sexual education at such a young age is dangerous. You don't want to, sit them down basically in front of a porno and say, oh, that's sex. Mm-hmm. But you need to teach them the basics. And if you build on it each year, bit by bit, by the time they get to like 13, 14 years old, when they are truly starting to understand their own body and their own desires, they actually have a healthy attitude towards it.
I would agree with that for sure.
So these protesters in Birmingham, I think they are jumping the gun. I think they're assuming that they're going into huge, heavy details, which just isn't the case. Unfortunately, I haven't seen any news footage on it because reasons. I've stopped watching the news recently.
It's hard to know which one to take seriously or trust these days, it seems.
Yeah, normally, generally speaking, in the UK, I would trust BBC News over other news companies because the BBC is meant to hold a neutral stance on things.
That's why it's the only news app I have, by the way.
Yeah, well, it's not possible to have an entirely neutral perspective on news because news essentially is subjective what you think.
Sure.
But the editors do their best to try and at least show both sides of a position.
Mm-hmm.
So, in short, I think the protesters are being ridiculous and that this education is necessary.
Yeah, I agree. I think, and I have no problem if it's even at an early age, but I think 5 is probably as low as I'd want to go because at least they can have some idea of what you're talking about at that point. Anything below that, and it's probably going to be lost on them.
Well, to be honest with you, because I have cousins which at that time lived 6 doors away from me, that were, well, this particular one was bisexual. Mm-hmm. My children already had an understanding of what it was. Yes, this cousin of mine likes both ladies and gentlemen. Mm-hmm. That's who they love. There was a trans person that lived around the corner, and it was just basically the neighbourhood auntie. She didn't have any children of her own. And so my children were lucky enough to know what these things were from a very young age. And they're generally well-rounded young people.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's good. That's excellent. I think that's actually, I got to give you kudos for that, so that your kids were understanding of that sort of thing once they were introduced to it, which means you were doing parenting right. So, and Robert, that's a hell of a Twitter handle. Why don't you find me on Twitter and send me a message, and we'll go from there, because I'd have to somehow copy it from here into Twitter, and there's far too many numbers in there. Unless that's your phone number. Should I try texting you?
I'm going to say, at first I thought it were 420. It's like, oh, right, okay.
No, 520365496 is like, holy shit, what is that, your Borg designation? Or
It's his IP address.
Yeah, so send me a message. That way I won't have to worry about trying to copy this, because once the live chat disappears, it can be tough to bring it back after a few days. So not that I'd wait that long to do it, but it'll just make things easier. And we'll set something up. July will be difficult because you're going to be in Australia. Okay, that's fine. We can set up something for August. I generally do a couple of months at a time, because it can be pretty hard to book people that far in advance. But definitely I'll save something for you in August if that's what you prefer. We'll talk about it. Anyways, so yeah. Is there anything else you want to bring up here? If anyone has any other questions, post them real quick before we wrap things up here in a bit, because we are closing in on the hour. It's almost 10:02, so it's actually about 1:45. But
there is one other thing that annoys me.
Okay.
I was guilty of in the past, is when people use terms as an insult, and for example, the R word, or they go lib with the second half of the R word.
Oh, you mean like libtard?
Yeah.
Kind of thing.
Okay. That kind of thing really annoys me. And it's something I'm finding growing, especially in the flat earth debunking community. There's no need for it, because you think you're insulting this person that you're replying to, but actually you're insulting the people that have various conditions that have had severe negative attention towards them. Yeah. And it's just ridiculous. And it's also put towards the theists as if they're stupid just because they believe this one stupid idea.
They throw it on everything. You get religitard, flat-tard, you get all that stuff. Right?
Yeah, and I think one of the things I think, like your show, is so important is to actually raise awareness that, yes, people have got religious ideas, but so many other people have had these ideas that they're calling stupid, but are very intelligent people, and you don't just lose a medical condition because you lose religion.
That's right.
And yeah, sorry, I just get on my soapbox about that, and it does my head in.
No, all the power to you. And I'm 100% behind that, even though earlier on I was using expressions like that myself. Usually I would get pretty worked up in some heated debate about something, and I would let something like that fly, and it really isn't cool. Especially in my own family, there are two people that have a form of mental disability, one of them being Down syndrome, and it's really not cool, because in a way you're not really insulting the person you're firing it at. You're actually insulting the people that you allegedly care about, or people that you know, and others that you don't know, really. So 100% agree with you there.
The thing is, there's some people like yourself that just do it without thinking. It's just say it, gone, done. Whereas some other people actually use it on a regular basis, know they are using it, and intentionally use it. Like the flat one is specific, and globe, they do the same again. And it's just, there's no need for it. And it actually harms your argument when you do it. The specifically English language is so rich and vibrant with so many words that you could use to insult someone. There's no need to then do it in any other way.
That's true.
That hurts other people.
Yeah, there's much better ways to throw insults at somebody without indirectly insulting somebody else. Yes, Robert, I did answer the question that Worley asked about the
Birmingham.
Yeah, the Birmingham thing. Yes, we did talk about that. You must have been searching for your name on Twitter when that happened. So. I'm only poking fun at you, brother. And Bible Belt Atheist has joined us right at the end, but that's okay because he can jump into the after party if he so chooses. Well, I guess we could call it a wrap and just jump right into that. You're down for a bit of an after party, are you?
Yeah, I hope so.
Oh, well, good, because you always jump in the other ones, so I figured you probably want to jump in your own.
Yeah, it's about time I got the shtick instead.
That's right. Yeah, exactly. All right. Well, we'll do that. We'll cut her short a little bit, and it'll give me a little extra time to actually probably get this thing going right at 5, like I usually plan to. But of course, shit happens. But anyways, thanks a lot for doing this with me, man. I know you didn't really come from a overly religious background, but you did have some influence from it in your life, and that's the important part that we talked about, and how it affected you, and how it kind of caused you to develop into who you are. So, and these kind of things are important because people want to hear these sort of things so they can get a better understanding of where they might be sitting on the spectrum of where they are religiously, right? If it can help them out of these fallacious beliefs, then the more conversations like this, the better.
Yeah, when people realise they don't have to just keep going because that's what they've always had, and actually assess what they believe, why they believe it, that's when you advance in society, not just personally.
Oh yeah, totally. Oh, it sounded so American. Yeah, totally, dude.
Have a nice day.
Yeah, right. Let's go catch some waves now. Such an idiot. All right. Thanks, everyone, for joining Ian and myself for today's conversation. I hope you guys had a good time. I know Bible Belt Atheist probably was like, I have no idea what happened here. But that's okay. He can jump into the after party with us, and we can poke fun at him there. And Ian, man, thanks for doing this with me. It's been a lot of fun. And one of the reasons I like doing these is because I get to know the people that I've become friends with in the community a little bit better. And it gives me a better understanding of who these people that I've befriended are as people. So far, I've yet to be disappointed. So there you go.
Well, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thanks for having us.
Well, I have yet to be disappointed until today. No, I'm just kidding. That's just me, man.
I tried.
I just poke fun at people. I always say, if you can't poke fun at yourself, which I constantly do about myself all the time, then you have no right to poke fun at other people. All right. Canadian putting on a US accent, that's hilarious. Yes, because our accents are so different. There are some minor differences, of course, but that's somebody's asked me if I was American. Yeah, a boot. I don't say a boot, just so you know. That's all my Ontario buddies, the guys that live out more in the Middle East section of Canada.
And Shannon.
Yeah. Hey, well, what's it all about? I don't actually talk that way, so. But I do like poutine. Not that that's even related, but okay. All right, guys, we're going to wrap this up. So we will be doing an after party probably within the next 10 minutes or so. I usually like to go have a quick smoke and refresh my alcoholic beverage because I'm a lush. And we'll get into the chat afterwards and carry on about some discussions on beliefs and whatnot. And we already know that the Bible Belt Atheist will be joining us. And Brent, you're welcome too. It's been a while since you've been in one. If you're up for it, I'll send you a fresh link, Ian, and we'll get her going. And as you guys know, what I always say at the end of these things, it's called faith because it's not knowledge. And we'll see you guys next time.